the same thing happened with Sting. I came in the Sting album after they was well underway. They recorded the basics at his home in Tuscany. Then they went to California to do the vocals, and they weren't really comfy. So the producer said, I got a guy in New York. They brought the other engineer who had been on the whole project. So the first day, there's both of us, and I'm kind of doing the Pro Tools thing. And Sting walks in, hey, everybody. And he goes to the producer, who's the new guy? Oh, that's Dave. He's good. You're going to like him. But I'm running what he hears and what we're catching. And the other engineer is running the mic pre. So he starts to sing and he stops. I don't want to hear those cellos. So it's 11 in the morning. This is the first time I'm even seeing this Pro Tools file. There's like 75 tracks of cello, cellos.
Oh, no.
And so I quickly go down and I mute all. Okay, I got them muted. Roll the Pro Tools. Of course, they're automated, so they pop back on. So now I have to manually turn off the automation. So of course Sting goes, no, I still hear them. Yeah, and I'm very, very nervous.
Yeah.
Finally, I get the cellos muted, and we record for a couple hours. And he comes in, he starts telling stories. It took about a day, maybe a day and a half, for him to warm up to me. He already knew everybody else. Mm-hmm. He had his guitar tech there with him. He knew the producer from the whole album. He knew the other engineer from the whole album. I ended up, becoming a little bit buddies. We don't call each other, but during that album, he was very warm to me. And he said, sometimes, when you're in this position, you have to be a little bit of a jerk because people come on you all the time. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of for all those stars, being a little bit hard as a defense mechanism because everybody wants something all the time.
Yeah.
So I was just really chill. I didn't bug him, can you take a picture? And none of that.
Yeah.
We ended up getting hundreds of pictures because he was relaxed. He took, he would take us out across the street to the pub. We would all have to pile his Escalade with his driver was always outside the studio on 10th Avenue. The pub was right across the street, but we would have to pile into the Escalade, zip across 10th Avenue and pile out the other side because he literally couldn't walk across the street without being noticed.
Wow.
So we would go have like a glass of wine at 4 p.m. and there'd be like some chronic drinkers in this Irish pub and they'd look up from their pint and they knew who it was, but then they would look back down at their pint. It's like, that's Sting. Yeah, I know. Don't worry. Don't look at him.
I would do the exact same thing. I'd be like, I know he's there.
He became really nice to me. And, there's a place near where I grew up called Darlington. Is that any relation? Of course not. But, he grew up nearby Darlington, of course. So it was cool, very rewarding. Just the fact that he was chill with me and not just a hired gun.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? He was amazing in the studio. Like, first of all, he's a consummate artist. He'll do it until the cows come home, until it gets done. But in the morning, his voice was usually pretty rough. He stays out pretty late and gets up in the morning and he has a trainer and he does his exercise. But 11 o'clock, by 12 noon, and I swear to God, every single day this would be the case. By 12 noon, Roxy! He could...
Just go
it
for
was unbelievable to me how he would work through the phlegm and the tiredness. And by noon, he was singing his behind off and great. And we recorded take upon take upon take. It was material that he was not that comfortable with. When it was time to mix, he went home to England and, okay, we're going to mix. We got the call the next day. I got to come sing the entire album over again.
Wow.
So, of course, the whole schedule went to hell. Instead of mixing for a month, now Sting is coming back. We did another 2-3 weeks of vocals. And then we mixed and was in a rush. But it was good. In the mixing, in the playbacks of the mix, he wasn't really concerned with much of anything except his vocal. Almost everything that the producer and I did with the music, he was signed off on like immediately. The tracks sound great. How's my voice?
Yeah.
How's that note right there? Tuning, looking for an alternate take here and there, which, the producer himself was very good with singers like that. We kept everything. So we had 125 versions of that note to go through if he didn't like the one we chose. So, and that makes people feel good too, that, you know, we're getting the best
out of them. Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, do you remember, like, did you have to go through mic selection and preamp selection or anything, or was that all figured out?
We had the engineer from California had a really special 47.
Oh, okay.
So
wow.
that was following him around from. But here's an interesting thing: we did not use a pop filter.
Really?
He felt that, you know, that intimate. It was very soft music, a lot of it, and he loved his own sound, digging way in, you know, on the 47.
Really close proximity.
So, guess what that meant for me? Going through with a fine tooth comb. I actually have a preset on an EQ with like a shelf. I mean, a high pass at like maybe 90 or 100, like, you know, and I labeled it P. So every time there was a P, I go to the preset and render it. So it took hours to comb through the vocal. But when we played it back for the label and Sting's management, everything, Donnie Einer, who's a big deal himself, a very accomplished engineer and producer, said, "Wow, I've never heard his voice sound like that." Well, that's because it was handcrafted, like Rolls Royce.
Hours and hours, I bet that took.
Yeah, you literally went through every single plosive.
Every S, every P, every B.
That stresses me out just listening to it.
Yeah, a whole album and alternate takes of the album. Wow. But at the end of the day, you know, playing. Sometimes when you play back for clients, it's like, oh, we have work to do. It was the opposite for him. It was like the record sounds great. It's got all the feeling I'm looking for. How's my voice? We reassured him. The label reassured him, and the last time I spoke to him, he was like, "See you at the Grammys." Wow. He was very, 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 very happy. At one point, he broke out his acoustic guitar and played "Fields of Gold" for just me and the producer. Like a command performance, you know. I had to keep pinching myself, like here he is playing, singing his butt off, playing "Fields of Gold" on his acoustic. You know,
I couldn't even imagine. Yeah,
it doesn't. You know, I mean, yeah, I have a lot of moments in my career. People ask me, like, "Is there anything you haven't done that you know?" Sir Paul, if you're watching this, you know, I'm available. Just give me a call. Other than that, you know, I really can't think of many artists that I really am like dying to work with. I've had some really lucky connections with people.